Okay, so let's continue. Then, so that is about our product market growth matrix. And as I've said, this is how uh, growth strategy is developed in global marketing. So this is how businesses grow, and this is how this is the strategy that they use to grow. Okay, so let's continue. Then challenges for marketers. Okay, so in global marketing there are challenges. Okay, so when you get involved in selling your products and services to other countries, there are several challenges that your company might uh, come up with. Okay, so global marketing by itself will come up with several challenges. Okay, so marketers encounter unique or unfamiliar features in countries or regions. Okay, so you are trying to sell your products to people that you don't know, right? So for example, a company in Korea, if they want to be involved in global marketing, let's say they want to sell their products or they want to develop a subsidiary in Europe or in Africa. Okay, so they have to be familiar with the country's culture, the politics, the environment. Okay, several factors affect your business when you are involved in global marketing. Okay, so for example, the counter feiting and privacy, or piracy issue in China. Okay, so piracy is very common in China. So for those of you who are not familiar, piracy is an illegal trade. Okay, so pirates, they try to forge or they try to illegally smuggle products into a country and sell it at a lower price. Okay, but when you follow the right path, then you have to pay taxes and tariffs on your products. And when you sell your product, then the price of your product will be higher, right? But if these products are smuggled into the country in an illegal way, without paying tariffs or taxes or any other um, uh, barriers, then they can sell their products at lower price, okay, which affects your sale in that country. So, and also the intellectual property. So here in piracy in China has to do with intellectual property rights. Okay, so you have to be ready to protect your intellectual property rights when you are involved in global marketing. Okay, that's one challenge. The other challenge could be bribery and corruption. Okay, in some countries, corruption is very common exercise. Okay, so which means if you want to get something done, then you have to bribe or you have to give money to the officials. Okay, so this is another challenge. So you have to be familiar with this. You have to find ways through which you can pass this challenge in global marketing. Okay, and the other is managers at global companies understand the importance of local excellence. Okay, so there is a saying by one businessman. He said, "The best global brands are also the best local brands." Okay, so because managers in global marketing, they study the culture, the environment, the needs and the wants of peoples outside their country. Okay, that's the only way that you can survive and you can grow, right? So these managers who are managing these global companies understand very well about the local excellence, okay, because they are already familiar with different behavior, different culture, different styles of people. Okay, so uh, these managers are very well equipped with how the skills, how they can uh, sell their products locally and how they can grow uh, the local brands also. Okay. And the other thing that the other topic is about customer perceived value. Okay, so marketing is one of the fundamental areas of business. Okay, so it is a little bit different from finance and operation. Marketing requires the involvement of the managers from the conception of the idea, conception of the idea of a product to after sales services. So marketing is involved from the beginning to the end. Okay, so for example, a manufacturing company should think about marketing starting from the idea conception, or starting from the idea of the product to its development, to its sale, and to its after sale services. Okay, so marketing is all throughout the value chain. Okay, starting from even idea generation to the after sale services. Okay, so that makes marketing a little bit different as compared to a finance or operation. Okay, because finance would be involved in only financial issues. Operation would be very much involved in the production process, but marketing is throughout the value chain. Okay, so the value chain is composed of marketing, product design, manufacturing, and transportation logistics. Okay, and all through this, you have to deal with marketing issues. Okay, so when you produce your product, you have to think of the design or what consumers would like to appreciate on your products. Okay, when you develop, you have to think about it. When you sell, you have to think about how the packaging should look like for your customers. Okay, so packaging, for example, if you go to Africa, packaging is not a big deal. Okay, if the product is good, it's good. But if you go to, for example, Europe, packaging might be a big deal. Okay, packaging of the product itself. Okay, so the needs and the wants of customers from country to country is different. Okay, so the essence of marketing is to provide a superior value proposition to surpass the competition. Okay, this is what we call having a competitive advantage. Okay, so you create a value, and this value should be better than the value that is created and delivered by your competitors. Okay, that is the only way you can have a superior value proposition so that you can win over your competitors. Okay, so value could be explained in different ways. Okay, so you might think, well, what is a value proposition? So value proposition could start with improving the product itself. So the four value could be provided to the four piece of marketing. Value could be added to the product. Okay, value could be added to the promotion. Value could be added to the place, which is distribution. Value could be added to the price of the product. Okay, so in any of this, in one or two or three or four of them, you have to be better than your competitors. Okay, so creating value for customers by improving benefits or reducing price. So you improve your product, or you find new distribution channels. So improving the product is about the product P. Okay, so there are four P's. Improving the product is a product. Finding new distribution channels is about place. Create better communication is about promotion. Cut monetary and non-monetary costs and prices is about price. Okay, so you have to be better at this than your competitors. Then you can say you have a superior value proposition. Okay, so the value is equal to the benefits divided by the price. So this means as long as the benefit is greater than the price, then your value is good, or you are adding value. Okay, so the price should not be greater than the benefit. So the price could be in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of effort, but it should be less than the benefit that your product delivers to your customers. Okay. Then let's talk about these two market issues. Then we have markets and value proposition. So market, when we say market, we mean it's people or organizations that are both able and willing to buy. Okay. And the value proposition is a perceived value to the consumer or to the customer. Okay. The firm's promise to the it could also be the firm's promise to the customer. So when you say you have a good value proposition, so it is delivering what is expected by the customers from your company or from your product. Okay. Or it is something that you think is good, then you deliver it to your customers. Okay, so perceived value to the customer, perceived value could be firm's promise to the customers. Okay, that's your value proposition. For example, here, if you take in the 1980s, okay, in 1980s from mid 80s to the end of 1980s, then the Japanese companies were #1 in selling their automobiles to the US market. Okay, so the Japanese automakers, they have dominated the market in the US than those markets which are owned by the US investors. Okay, this is because Japan has provided a value which is a car with a higher quality, better mileage, and lower price as compared to those US cars. Okay, so Japanese automakers they had a big share in the 1980s in the US. Okay, because they delivered products with a good quality and also at lower prices. Okay, so today's new value proposition could be high quality vehicle for less than $10,000 or less for Indian and African markets. So car makers are now focusing on India and Africa because their market in Africa is now growing. But in order for them to have a good market share in Africa, then they have to sell their products at a lower price. Okay, so they are preparing cars with a good quality, but at the same time, which costs us less. Okay, so that is how you enter to a market, and that is how you win over other competitors. Okay, by delivering a superior value proposition. Okay. Then let's go to competitive advantage. So what is competitive advantage? As we have said in value proposition, we say a company has a competitive advantage over the other when its value propositions are better than its competitors. Okay, so as I have said, a competitor is a company or a firm in the same strategic group. Okay, so this paint producing company will compete with other paint producing companies. Okay, so they are in the same strategic group. So this paint producing company will try to win over the other paint producing company by having a competitive advantage. It could be of price, of product, of promotion, or of place. Okay, so when a company succeeds in creating more value for customers than its competitors, then we say they have created a competitive advantage. Okay, then this is measured relative to industry rivals. So as I've said, this competitive advantage is measured relative to your strategic group or relative to companies that sell the same products as yours. Okay, so these are called industry rivals, the same industry rivals. Okay, so these are created when a firm has value creating strategy not simultaneously being implemented by any current or potential competitors. Okay, so When we say competitive advantage, it doesn't mean that it is just the best in any measures. Okay, when we say we have a competitive advantage, it means that compared to our competitors, we provide a better product or a better service. Okay, so it doesn't mean that the quality or the product is in its last stage of quality. No, it means that you compared your value proposition with your competitors and yours is better, right? So you say that you have a competitive advantage over your rivals, okay? The reason is because your rival might come up with other new ways of delivering a product. Then now we have to compete with them, and you have to win over that new value proposition from your competitors. Okay, so it's this value competitive advantage is created when a firm has value creating strategy, not simultaneously being implemented by any current or potential competitors. Okay. And so let's come to the concept of globalization. Okay, so simply explained, globalization is transformation from local or national industries to global ones. It's called globalization. This is just a simple economic process explanation, going from local to global. Okay, but in its broad sense, economic globalization constitutes integration of national economies into the international economy through trade, direct foreign investment by corporations and multinationals, short-term capital flows, international flows of workers and humanity generally, and flows of technology. So this is a general uh, uh, thing about globalization, or definition you can say about globalization. Okay, so globalization could be through direct foreign investment and being involved in global marketing or global trade. Okay, and this foreign direct investment. So companies that are involved in foreign direct investment are called multinational corporations, right? So you could have a subsidiary in another country, or you can directly invest, or you can open your plant in another country. So when you open a plant, it is called foreign direct investment. Okay, but you can also have subsidiaries in another country. Okay, so anyways, you are a multinational corporation if you have a subsidiary or if you are involved in foreign direct investment. And also short-term capital flows are there, international flows of workers. So international migration could also be considered a factor in globalization, right? And flows of technology, okay? Then what are global industries? Okay, so global industry is not just a global competition, okay? So it's something that is achieved by integration and leveraging of operations worldwide. So when we say an industry is global, it doesn't only mean it's about global competition. Okay, it is leveraging or integrating your operations worldwide. Okay, so an industry is global to the extent that a company's industry position in one country is interdependent with its industry position in another country. Okay, so so when we say multinational corporation, so those of you who have already studied marketing or trade, then multinational corporations have parent companies, right? For example, if let's say Samsung. Okay, so Samsung is a multinational corporation, right? And this Samsung, its parent company is in Korea, but Samsung has subsidiaries and also has foreign direct investments in other countries. Okay, so there is interdependence, right? Because these subsidiaries in other countries, they make money or they sell their products, but still the profits of this these subsidiaries will be sent back to the parent company, right? So, and also some management and some issues will be handled by the parent company, right? So there is interdependence between a company in one country, a company in another country. When we say it's a global industry, okay? So in that, indicators of globalization could be the ratio of cross-border investment to total capital investment. As I have said, we have Samsung in Korea, but we have also Samsung in other countries, which are subsidiaries of this parent company, okay? So the ratio of this cross-border investments in other countries to the total capital investment could identify an industry as a global industry, okay? And the other is proportion of industry revenue generated by all companies that compete in key world regions, okay? As I've said, when you have subsidiaries or when you have foreign direct investment, you make money in that country, but this money will be collected back to the parent company, and it's up to the parent company to manage its revenue or its profit, okay? The ratio of cross-border trade to worldwide production is also the other indicator of globalization. So these are three things that will help us to identify whether there is a globalization or not, okay? Whether this industry is a global industry or not, okay? Okay, then let's proceed to globalization of pro sports. So this is about some major sport leagues. So by the way, soccer is a global sport, right? And so actually, soccer is one of the very good examples for global industries, okay? Because the soccer industry is not limited to the US or it's not limited to Brazil or Argentina, right? So there are, for example, this NFL, NBA, MSL. So this has fans in Korea, they have fans in China, they have fans in Dubai. So they have fans all over the world, okay? And they also operate in this worldwide, okay? So soccer is a global sport, and the National Football League is focusing now on Canada, China, Germany, Japan, Mexico, and the UK. So the NFL, it's not only in the US, right? So it's NFL promotes American football globally. Okay, if you go to China, NFL is very famous, right? So the NFL is focusing on a handful of key markets, including Canada, China, Germany, Japan, Mexico, and the United Kingdom. So every fall, these banners are there if you go to Canada or China that promotes the NFL. Okay, so the thing is, so soccer is a very good example of globalization. Okay, and the other thing is competitive advantage, globalization, and global industries. So let's talk about these three things. So one way of achieving competitive advantage is by focusing, okay? Focus means concentration and attention on core business and competence, okay? So here, let's say, when you diversify to a market which is very much related to your business, okay? So previously when I talk about Starbucks, I've said that Starbucks has diversified to producing coffee machines, right? So that is very much related to what Starbucks delivers, right? You should not diversify into a business that is very much different from what you are currently doing. Okay, so focusing means to concentrate on your core business and on your competence. Okay, so for example, if you take Nestle, so it's very much focused on food and beverage. They are not involved in Coca-Cola, or they are not involved in producing drinks, alcohols, or any other thing. They are focused on producing food, and from food they are focused on a few types of foods. Okay, so that is the focus. So you concentrate on your core values and core business and competence. So don't go to a business that is very much different. For example, Starbucks should not be involved, like, let's say, in producing TV, right? Because producing TV and coffee are different things, okay? But selling coffee and selling a coffee machine is very much related, right? So focus is to concentrate on your core business and competence, okay? And value, competitive advantage, and focus. So value, competitive advantage, and focus are universal in the relevance and guide marketing in any part of the world. So companies that understand and engage in global marketing can offer more value to customers that those who they can offer more value to customers than those who do not, okay? So change this to Zan, okay? So globalization is no longer an abstraction, but a stark reality. So it is happening, right? So choosing not to participate in global markets is no longer an option, okay? So as I have said earlier, you cannot say, I will not participate in global markets, okay? Because you don't have choice. As we have said, customers can buy products from any brand anywhere in this world, okay, using computers, using the internet, and this products could be delivered to their location the next day or the day after, okay? So when you open a business, you have to think that you will be competing those global brands, and you have to find ways through which you can compete and win these global brands, okay? So choosing not to participate in global markets is no longer an option, okay? All firms, regardless of their size, have to craft strategies in the broader context of the world market to anticipate, to respond, and adapt to the changing configuration of these markets. So once you are involved in global marketing, then it's necessary that you have to follow up what these markets are doing, and you have to cope up with this market so that you can survive and you can win, okay? So, for example, here we have the company Hair Carters and their buyers. For example, General Electronics is from the US, then the buyers are from China. NBC Universal sold to Comcast for $30 million. Then we have VVD, then Vivendi, then it's from France. We have Unilever, we have IBM, okay? So, and how this global businesses are bought by the others, okay? So again, we have again 10 minutes. So then the pros and cons of globalization. Let's talk about what are the good things about globalization and the bad things about globalization, okay? So what benefits has globalization brought to our business, and what negative things that this globalization has come up with. Then hundreds of millions of people have been lifted from poverty and joined the middle class, okay? Because of globalization, because of global markets, companies operate in any part of the world, so they create employment for other peoples, right? So this helps other peoples in other countries to come out of poverty, okay? So where globalization has raised wages, living standards have also been improved, okay? So when a company, for example, Samsung opens its subsidiary in Vietnam, so it is creating job opportunities to Vietnamese people, right? And they also have a good wage, so which helps to improve their living standard, okay? And the other is not all gains from globalization have been evenly distributed, Okay, that might be a problem. Okay, so due to globalization, there are some people or some companies who have benefited, and there are some who have lost. Okay, so for example, let's say it's very difficult to have a small business. Okay, you can take Korea. So small businesses, they try so hard to survive. Okay, because there are these big companies, and when you open a new business, they can easily compete and they can sell their products at lower price because they have been here for a long time. So it's very difficult for small businesses to compete and win these giants. Okay, so that might be a problem that global business has brought to small businesses. Okay, and the other is, for example, the US president Trump's idea of this American first. This brings globalization in reverse. Okay, so we are saying that we are global citizens and there are global companies. Okay, and we are saying here that companies cannot be independent. They have to be involved in global marketing. So which means companies in Korea should go to China, companies in Korea should go to the US, companies in Korea should go to Africa, and they should find customers there, and they have to sell their products to their customers. Okay, in the same way, companies in the US or investors in the US should invest in Korea. So there is an interdependence between countries. Okay, so then this America First agenda is one example of nations retreating into protectionism or trying to isolate their people from other parts of the world. And this is not good for a business. And this is not the idea of globalization. Okay, this will reverse the idea of globalization, which is not good for a country's development. Okay. And so let's talk about standardization and adaptation. So here in globalization and standardization, we'll talk about global marketing strategy and the single market strategy or home country strategy, okay? Home market strategy. So here, globalization is standardization. But global localization is adaptation. So what does it mean? So standardization means you must produce. Then the products you produce are almost similar, but you sell these products to all your customers throughout the world, right? But global localization means you produce products according to the needs of your customers in other parts of the world, right? For example, Hyundai car company, for example, in Korea, they might have similar style, similar brand, similar everything, okay? But if Hyundai wants to sell its cars to Africa, so it has to change these cars in order for these cars to be suitable to Africa's environment. Okay, so for example, there might not be good roads in Africa. Okay, so the cars that you produce should be resistant to this kind of problems. Okay, so when Hyundai produces cars that are adapted or that are customized to the needs of its African customers, then we say this is global localization. Okay, but when you produce standardized products and market these products worldwide, then that is a pure globalization. Okay, which means selling the same products which are sold in Korea or selling the same products which are produced for Korea to other parts of the world. That is standardization. Okay, and one thing I want to focus here is when you are a single country marketing, then you focus on standardization, right? because those are your customers. You don't have any other customers apart from the people in this country. But when you are involved in global marketing, your strategy should be adaptation. So adaptation is to shape your products according to the needs and the wants of your customers in other parts of the world. Okay, so to choose either standardization or adaptation is very important in global marketing strategy. Okay, so we'll talk about this in here. Okay, so global marketing, what it is and what it is not. Okay, so you can see here in single country marketing strategy, you target some group or some people within a nation. In global marketing, you target everybody. Okay, because your focus is selling your products to all the customers all over the world. Okay, so even though, for example, here you see in single country marketing, so here I want to focus here is we are using the same marketing mix. Okay, we are using the 4Ps here. We are using the same 4Ps in global marketing strategy. So the difference is in global marketing strategy, this 4Ps could be standardized or adapted. Okay, in single country marketing strategy, mostly they are standardized because you are selling this product to a single country people. Okay, but in global marketing strategy, then it depends upon the need of the people. Okay, you might be required to adapt the product, okay, to the needs of these people. You have to adapt the promotion according to the culture of these people. You have to adapt the price according to the living standard of these people. You have to adapt the place, the communication, the distribution according to the people's location. Okay, so global marketing strategy participates in global market, where the other one participates in a single market. Okay, so let's stop here because I only have 1 minute and we'll continue just after this. So wait me for 1 or 2 minutes. Okay.